What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Magisterial Madrid. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the Real Madrid youngsters, players from aged about 23, 24 or younger, and I'm basically just going to be talking about them and their future and seeing if they do have a real future at Real Madrid. So let's begin. So starting off this list, I wanted to mention Vinicius. Now, I am a huge fan of Vinicius, and he's pretty much become my favorite player overnight. Last season, he was absolutely the most fun player to watch on the pitch. He gave us a spark that nobody gave us, and he is definitely a long-term player. I 100% believe he will be the heir to Hazard's left wing spot, because Hazard, people forget, he's about, I believe, 28 now. He's not going to be a superstar for 6 seasons or anything like that, but we will get that from somebody like Vinicius, and I do fully expect him to be here for the long term, and I'm really excited for that. Now, moving on to Rodrigo, he is a really interesting case because I do think he is again going to be long term here at Real Madrid, and there's something about Rodrigo when you watch him play, much like Vinicius, where you're just mesmerized. But the thing about Rodrigo is he's a little more polished in terms of finishing, maturity, composure, and things like that. But when it comes to dribbling and speed and also just pure flair, I think Vinicius has Rodrigo beat. But overall, I definitely think that Rodrigo is going to be here for the long term, and I'm really excited to see what he can bring to our squad this season. He's of course going to be down in Castilla to actually begin the season under Raul, which I think is awesome, and I'm really excited to watch him there. But overall, I think that he's going to be a player for the future here at Real Madrid and probably a future starter. Now, moving on to Brahim Diaz. Now, he currently is injured, but I believe he's going to be healthy by the time La Liga begins, or at least the first couple matches of La Liga. He will be available and fit. So Brahim Diaz is a really interesting case. I think he is a player that Zidane really, really likes. I think that it's a player that the board really likes, and of course, when you're Spanish, it really helps your chances at making it at Real Madrid. The thing about Brahim Diaz is that I think that he is a brilliant player, and I really hope he does make it. Now, I'm not sure if he'll be a player of the future here at Real Madrid, but I'm going to say yes for now. As long as Zidane is in the job, I think that Brahim will be here as well. And moving on to one of my favorite players in all of world football, Martin Odegaard. I think Martin Odegaard has the potential to be one of the better players in a Real Madrid side in the future, and I think that he should have actually stayed this season and helped out on the wing, but I thought that a loan would probably best serve him anyway. And I think loaning him to a La Liga side, especially Sociedad, which they lack a little creativity, so you already know that he's going to get starting minutes, which I think is brilliant. I think that Martin Odegaard is a peach of a player. I really do think that he's a part of our future plans, and Florentino Perez has said it himself that he's a part of the future plans, and pretty much since he was 15 we've been nurturing him, loaning him out, picking the right teams, and now he's pretty much developed into one of the best youngsters in the world, and I can't wait to watch him grow and develop here at Real Madrid. Now, Dani Ceballos is the next one I have on the list, and I think he's a really interesting case. This season he actually got loaned out to Arsenal, which I think was maybe a good move for his career so he can get starting minutes, but I think we should have kept him just for depth purposes. But regardless, it's going to help out Danny a lot, and I'm really excited to watch him at Arsenal this season, especially alongside some of the new additions like Pepe and Kieran Tierney. Now, I don't think Ceballos is actually going to be here for the long term. I think that he is a player who is brilliant, and I think that he has a lot to offer Real Madrid and pretty much any club he goes to. But I just think that as long as Zidane is in charge, he is not going to have a future at Real Madrid just because he just has some sort of agenda against him. Overall, I just think that he may not make it at Real Madrid. Now, the next player on the list is actually Kubo. I think Kubo is an extremely talented player, and he is easily the greatest dribbler I've ever seen, bar like Messi and Hazard. Like, it's seriously that level of good at dribbling, especially at his age. It's pretty ridiculous watching him in training. Now, there's been a lot of reports that he's actually going to be loaned out to Real Valladolid, which I think is brilliant, and I really wanted Kubo to be loaned because I did not want him to be wasted in Castilla. But when it comes to Kubo, I think a loan move would really benefit him, and I think that loaning him to a side where he's going to get starting minutes under, of course, R9's team, then I'm really excited about this. I'm going to be watching a lot of Valladolid this year, especially to keep up with the many other players we've loaned to them. Now, next up on the list is coincidentally Lunin. Now, the reason why I say coincidentally is because there is a report that come out that Valladolid is interested in loaning Lunin, and we're interested in loaning him there. Now, if we can't sell Navas, I think that we will loan Lunin, and if we do loan him, then I'm assuming it's going to be to Valladolid, and I hope it's at a team where he can start pretty much every single game of the season, and it's in La Liga. That would be the best thing for him and his career, especially us, and I do think he is going to be here long term. Next up on the list is Eder Militao. Now, I'm a huge fan of Militao. He's played one game for us. In fact, he's actually played only 45 minutes for us, because last game when we played, I believe it was, we played Salzburg, and he was brilliant. That first half that we played offensively, defensively, and even in the midfield, everything clicked against RB Salzburg, and I thought that a part of the reason why we were so brilliant was because Militao was cleaning up everything that Marcelo left behind. Now, the reason why he was able to clean all of it up is because Marcelo was playing left wing back, and I think that's the best position for Marcelo, and I think that a 3 at the back is actually really something interesting and something we should experiment with, but it's also a formation that we really can't stick to because we don't really have the depth for that. Now, I do definitely think Militao is here for the future. I think he's going to be here for hopefully around 10 years plus, because I think he is that good of a player, and of course when you're given the number 3, you're expected a lot. So yeah, he will definitely be here long term. Moving on to Ferland Mendy, who again is one of my favorite youngsters in the world. Even before he joined Real Madrid, I was really interested in him. Ferland Mendy is a very interesting case. I think he can be one of the best left backs in the world without a shadow of a doubt, because he is amazing defensively and he is also great offensively, and he is still so young, and I'm really excited to watch what he'll do in the future of Real Madrid as pretty much the successor to Marcelo, which is of course a lot to ask for, but he is definitely going to be here for the future. Next up on the list, I have Odriozola, who I think is a very interesting player. He didn't have a great first season, and his preseason has been god-awful. His positioning isn't the best, but his pace pretty much recovers for his positioning quite a bit, but that's something that you don't really want to rely on, especially in a long-term career. Now, defensively, he is pretty good, but offensively is where he thrives. I think that if he played in a wing-back role, I think it would be a lot better. But overall, I just don't think he's going to last at Real Madrid. I mean, Dani Carvajal, he looks pretty much finished in preseason, and I hope that's not true. But he just does not look good or at all ready. And you'd think this would be the time for Odriozola to pretty much step up. It looks like at the moment that Odriozola is not going to be that right back that maybe some people thought he would. I thought he was going to be a squad player. I still think that he may actually just stick around to become the backup right back of a future person on this list who I will mention later. But overall, I just don't think he'll last, and he won't ever be a starter at Real, but I think that he could be a squad player for sure. Moving on to one of the most already developed and mature youngsters in our team, and that is, of course, Fede Valverde. I am a huge fan of him. I think he is brilliant. A lot of people have been saying he's going to be our backup DM, which I really don't understand. He doesn't have much experience there. If he can play there, then brilliant, because we need to have a backup DM. But right now, I see him more as the Cruz role, but of course, quite a bit faster. I think he is a brilliant player. I think that his passing is sharp. I think that his speed is underrated, and I think overall he's a very mature player, and I think that he is going to be here for the long haul at Real Madrid. So I will say yes, he's going to be here long term. Moving on to Marco Asensio. Now, this one really hurts me because he of course ended up getting that ACL injury, and I believe it was a meniscus tear, which is, pretty much like the worst injury you can get in sports. And when Asensio went down, I believe against Arsenal, it was just, as soon as he hit the ground, you kind of had a flashback to Jesse Rodriguez, which, he of course tore his ACL, and then he came back too soon, and he got infected, and he had to have another surgery, and his career was pretty much never the same again. We're all really hoping that he can recover. Now, apparently his surgery was successful, which is awesome news, and I'm really happy for him, and hopefully he is here for the long term. And as long as Zidane is in the team, then yes, Marco Asensio will be here for the long term, whether he's a squad player, whether he's a star. I'll put that in the comment section down below. What do you guys think he will end up being at Real Madrid? Personally, I think that he'll end up being just a very good player, but not starting quality, at least over people like Vinicius and Rodrigo. Next up on the list, I have Luka Jovic. I think Luka Jovic is one of the best young strikers in the world, and I already think that he could probably take a starting spot over Benzema if he actually performs up to the level that many of us are expecting. Jovic is for sure going to be here for a long time, and I'm really excited for that. Next up on the list, I have Achraf Hakimi. I think Hakimi is definitely going to be a starting right back on our team, and I think that he is easily going to overtake Odriozola and then of course an aging Carvajal. Hakimi is one of the best young right backs in the world / left backs because he can play both, and I think Hakimi is definitely going to be here for the long term. He's a player who Zidane likes. He's a player who Zidane has pretty much nurtured himself, and of course played with him in Castilla. So I'm really excited to see the future of him and hoping that he's going to be our future right back, as many assume he will be. Now moving on to the last 3 players of the list, I have Borja Moyeral, who I definitely don't think will be here. We tried to sell him, he wanted to leave because nobody was interested in buying. Reguilon, who I think is a brilliant youth product that has ended up coming through, and I thought that he was amazing last season under Solari specifically, but at the end of the day I just don't think that he is going to end up making it at Madrid because of the amount of fullbacks that we have. And moving on to the last player, Jesus Vallejo. I think Vallejo is a great player. I just think that he struggled with injuries, and I really like his overall mentality. I think he's very calm. I think that he's built for a back 3, but that's one of the reasons why I think that he won't last at Real Madrid. I think that he may be here to be a backup or a squad player, and I hope that he ends up reaching the potential that he once had. I just think with injuries, overall sloppiness, performance, and of course now another loan move for him, this time to Wolves. I think with all of that combined, I think that will pretty much just mash together a career that may not be as successful as we once thought it was going to be. So I'm going to say no, he is not going to be here for the long term, at least as a starter, maybe as a squad player. But that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like on the video, comment down below on your list, who makes it, who doesn't. And if you're new to the channel, then please subscribe. This has been Magisterium Madrid, and I will catch you guys next time. Hala Madrid.